Hello children, welcome back to my channel. I am Dr. Mary Dhawan. In my earlier videos, I told you about Frederick Sorio and French Revolution. Today I will take up aristocracy and rise of new middle class. Now to understand how nation states emerged or how they came up, for that we have to first understand how the society at these places in Europe was divided and what were the issues faced by the common people. Now, the aristocracy and the new middle class. The aristocrats were the rich class that was dominating in Europe. The members of this society had a common way of life. They were owners of estates in the villages and had very big houses. They spoke French and their families, most of the time they had matrimonial alliances. However, this group was small in number. The major population comprised of peasants. The western part of the land was farmed by tenants and small owners, whereas the eastern parts and the land in the central Europe was cultivated by serfs. During this time period, the western parts and the central part of Europe experienced industrial growth also. There was growth of many towns and a group of commercial classes. So during the 19th century, new social group came into being. They were a working class population and middle classes made up of industrialists, businessmen and professionals. The idea of nationalism grew stronger because of the educated liberal middle class groups. Till now we have discussed that people in different parts of Europe wanted to have liberal nationalism in their countries. Here the question arises as to what exactly do we mean by liberal nationalism. During early 19th century, the idea of nationalism and liberalism were closely related to the Europeans. The word liberalism is derived from Latin word liber, which means free. In Europe, the new middle class saw liberalism as freedom for the individual and equality for all before the law. They all stressed for the government elected by the people. और जब से फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन हुआ था, the term liberalism took a new meaning. That is the end of the aristocracy and clerical privileges, what we have seen earlier. It also meant the framing up of constitution and formation of the government through parliament. People wanted a democratic government and they wanted to remove monarchy. So 19th century liberals also laid stress upon the right to property. Though people were granted with the equality before law, still right to vote or right to suffrage, that was like not given to all the people. If you remember, the right to vote was given to certain people only, those who were active citizens. Only the men with property had right to vote. Men without property and women were excluded from this. It was only for a short period in the Jacobins that all adult men with or without property enjoyed right to vote. Even we have seen at the time of Napoleon, when Napoleonic Code in 1804 came, the right of suffrage means right to vote. Right to vote was limited to few members of the society only. Under this code, women were taken as minors, as they were subject to the authority of father or either husbands. So they had no right to vote. This led to various movements by women and non-propertied men, and they demanded equal political rights. ये तो ही suffrage की बात, voting की बात. So now, according to the business point of view, liberalism का कुछ अलग ही meaning था. Liberalism meant to be freedom of markets and abolition of various types of taxes on the movement of goods and capital. The freedom of market and abolition of state imposed restriction was a huge demand made by new middle class. To understand this, we should take the example of German speaking regions in the first half of the 19th century. There were about 39 princely states in this region. During the first half of the 19th century, each state had its own currency and weights and measures. If a trader was traveling from Hamburg to Nuremberg in 1833 to sell his goods, he had to pay a custom duty of 5% at 11 custom barriers. So duties were levied according to the weight or the measurement of the goods. Each region had different standards of weights and measures, so it took a lot of time to calculate a duty. For example, the cloth was measured in Al, which was different in each region. At Frankfurt, it was charged less, and Al was less, whereas the tax charge at Nuremberg was more, because the L there was more as compared to other regions. So all this led to demand of creation of a unified economic territory by the various business classes, so that there could be a smooth movement of goods, people and capital from one region to another. So this demand result in the formation of custom unions or Zollverein. The demand for Zollverein was first made by Prussia. Later on, German states also joined Prussia with the same demand. The custom union abolished the tariff barriers and reduced the number of currencies from 30 to 2. Railways were developed, and it harnessed economic interest to the national unification. The economic nationalism also strengthened the nationalist sentiments during that time. A new conservatism after 1815. So now, first of all, we should understand what is conservatism. See, conservatism is holding old ideas, old traditions and customs. While so many changes were taking place in Europe, one more thing happened there that made government to work towards a philosophy of conservatism. Conservatism is a political view that favors free enterprise, private ownership and socially conservative ideas. What was the incident that brought the philosophy of conservatism? Now, Napoleon Bonaparte, who had earlier acquired major parts of Europe, we have discussed it, he was defeated in the Battle of Waterloo in 1815. The battle was fought between Napoleon and forces of Britain and Prussia. So when Napoleon was defeated, European government decided to establish conservative form of government in France. The conservatives believe that that established traditional institutions of the state and society, such as monarchy, the church, social hierarchies, etc., that they should be maintained as they were. So most of the conservatives believe that modernization can strengthen traditional institutions like monarchy. So they had a view that following changes can strengthen the autocratic monarchy of Europe. So what they wanted to modernize the army. Bureaucracy was to be made efficient, dynamic economy, the abolition of feudalism and serfdom. So with this point of view, representatives of Britain, Russia, Prussia and Austria, they met at Vienna in 1815. This was called Congress of Vienna. These were those powers who had collectively defeated Napoleon, and they met at Vienna to draw up a settlement for Europe, to have a peace treaty. So the Congress was hosted by Austrian Chancellor Duke Metternich. The delegates drew up a Treaty of Vienna of 1815, which reversed most of the changes that came in Europe during the Napoleonic War. That was from 1799 to 1815 till the Battle of Waterloo. So they took a lot of decisions. Now, first decision was that Bourbon dynasty was to be restored to power in France. So Bourbon dynasty, if you remember, ruled France before French Revolution. So now again it was restored. So Louis XVIII, he was made the monarch of France. France, it lost the territories it has acquired under Napoleon, and a series of states were set up on the boundaries of France to prevent French for expansioning in future. Thus, with this new arrangement, some territorial changes were seen, such as Kingdom of the Netherlands, which included Belgium at that time, was set up in the north, and Genoa was added to Piedmont in the south. Prussia, which was given important new territories on its western frontiers, while Austria was given northern Italy. So all of them, they had little bit of pieces of the cake. On the other hand, we have seen that German Confederation of 39 states that had been set up by Napoleon was left untouched. In the east, Russia was given a part of Poland, and Prussia, it was given a part of Saxony. The main aim behind this arrangement was to restore the monarchies that had been taken over by Napoleon and create a conservative form of rule in Europe. The conservative rule formed in 1815 was oppressive. वो बहुत intolerant थे towards the criticism, towards a disagreement. They started curbing down the activities against them. Even censorship laws were imposed on newspapers. Books पे, plays पे, songs, जो भी आइडिया फेवर करते थे लिबर्टी का और फ्रीडम का, एंड which were associated with French Revolution, उन सब का उन्होंने censorship कर दिया. But all this could not stop various liberal activities from criticizing the new conservative rule, and they started seeking for freedom of press. So now we know that conservatives had once again established the rule of monarch in the Europe, but did it stop the revolutionaries from demanding liberty and nationalism? How did these revolutionaries work for their right to liberties? Let's check this. The revolutionaries. After 1815, the fear of repression from the ruling conservative class drove the liberal nationalist underground. They started forming up secret societies in different European states. The main aim of these societies was to spread the idea of liberty and nationalism. They were against the monarchical form of rulership that was result of the Vienna Congress, and many of them, they aimed to create nation states and made it an important part of their freedom struggle. So one person, Giuseppe Mazzini, whose picture you can see over here, was one of these revolutionaries who was member of one of these secret societies. He was born in Genoa in 1807. He became a member of secret society of Carbonari. At the age of 25, he was sent to exile. Later on, Mazzini founded two more underground societies, namely Young Italy in Marseille and Young Europe in Bern. The members of this society were the like-minded young men from Poland, Greece, Italy and German states. Mazzini wanted Italy to be he didn't wanted Italy to be a patchwork of small states and kingdoms. He didn't wanted that. So he made it his aim to unify Italy. For this, he started setting up secret societies in Germany, France, Switzerland and Poland. So Mazzini's non-stop opposition towards monarchy and his vision of bringing democratic republics means head of the state is elected. So he wanted that. So this was a reason of fear among many conservatives. Metternich, once he described him as the most dangerous enemy of our social order. Social order, which order? The hierarchical social order which was established. So now we have now we know that revolutionaries had started their own attempts to get rid of the conservative rule. But what happened next? Next came the period of revolutions in which various revolutionaries, they fought their rights and tried to free themselves from the clutches of the conservatives. So this I'll be taking up in my next video. So today we read about new middle class, we read about liberal nationalism and revolutionaries. Very soon I'll bring a video on the third part of this chapter, the age of revolutions. So till then, take care, stay safe, goodbye.